Hey there, it's Crafty Jennabug. So, it's getting towards the end of elderberry season where I live. I really want to try making ink from elderberries. Now, the recipe I have is from a book called Making Ink, A Forager's Guide to Natural Ink Making by Jason Logan. His basic recipe calls for 2 cups of berries. I only have a cup. It's the end of the season. I harvested what I could, and there are actually some in here that are slightly underripe because I was pressed for supplies. So I'm gonna just divide it in half. His main recipe for berries is 2 cups berries, half a cup of water. I'm gonna do 1 cup berries, 1/4 cup water, and see where we get. So, first things first, these berries are freshly harvested and ready to be processed. So that's what we're gonna do. I gotta mash them up, y'all. Mash them. So I have a potato masher, but as you can see, the holes on it are very big and these berries are very small. So we're gonna do what we can to mash them. And then I'll come in with a fork. I think the masher did a pretty good job, especially because I squeezed it while I mashed. It was a mash twist. It's like the Monster Mash and the twist had a baby. So we've got this beautiful liquid. One thing before I continue, if you decide to make this yourself, the entire elderberry plant is toxic. The berries are the only part that can be made edible by cooking or drying or, further processing. So, if you harvest these berries, do not eat them raw. Do not eat them raw. Do not eat any other part of the plant. In fact, when I do process elderberries, because I grow them in my yard, after I process elderberries, after I pick them, after I do anything with them at all, I wash my hands very, very well. So beware of that. It's a wonderful plant, so many different uses, but do not consume raw plant material. Okay, now that that PSA is out of the way, I'm gonna bring in my pot. And we're just gonna plop them in there. Now I am using a pot I don't particularly care about. It's small, it's cheap. If you were making a lot of this, you would need more, obviously. Or wait, if you were making a lot of this, you would need a bigger pot, obviously. But that ain't what we're doing here. Alright, got my 1/4 cup of water. That does not look like much. And it's not, it's only a 1/4 cup. But we're gonna see how it goes. Alright, his recipe calls for, if you want to intensify the color, which I do, especially because I'm working with minimal stuff here. To intensify the color, you can add 2 tablespoons vinegar and 1 tablespoon salt. Since I'm using half of the materials he wrote in the recipe, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon vinegar and half a tablespoon of salt. So I'm just using white vinegar, and I am using regular table salt. I'm gonna give that a stir. And now I have to heat this to just below boiling and cook it for at least 2 hours, stirring occasionally until I have an intense ink color. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do that off camera just for the sake of time. I'm not gonna sit here and film 2 hours worth of boiling. That would be ridiculous. Nobody wants to watch that. So I'm going to get this boiled up and we'll be back to check it out when it's done. All right, y'all, I've spared you a little bit of me making a mess. So this didn't quite go as I hoped. I only let it boil about half an hour. Well, not boil, but I only let it simmer about half an hour because the liquid was evaporating out and it was basically just cooking the berries. I'm not sure if it was what I was doing, if it was the amount. I mean, obviously it was what I was doing. Not sure exactly why it worked out that way. I know I did not completely follow the recipe, so I don't know. We're gonna see how this turns out as it is. So what I've done is I just cleaned out my pot. I've got a mesh strainer, I've got some cheesecloth, and in this cheesecloth is all of the berry goodness. I've got about that much liquid, which is mainly from when I rinsed out the pot and just poured the liquid in here. I just put a tiny bit of water and switched it around and poured it through the cheesecloth with the berries. And that's why I have that much liquid. But we are going to wear gloves and squeeze this out. This is pretty exhausting on the hands. I wonder if there is, oh, I'm making a mess now. Something I can weigh this with to get it to drip more. I have a jar, a jam jar full of water that I am going to use to squeeze. I'm getting a few drips. I'm going to leave it like that for quite a while. I'm not sure yet. I will come back and let you know how long I've left it. But this is what we're working with right now. I'm just going to let this press. I want to get all of that thick berry, almost syrup at this point, out of there as I can without having to stand here and, you know, have my hands go numb from squeezing. Alright, I think this has squished this long enough. It's been about an hour or so. Now, I put this coffee filter here. I'm not sure why exactly, maybe just to dye it, but I'm gonna keep it. That's cool. I'm also going to keep this beautiful purple cheesecloth for junk journaling. Is that really everything? Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So I'm gonna dump out the elderberry mash at this point. Okay. Alright, and that leaves us with this gorgeous, thickish liquid. There's not much, maybe 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces, but it's gorgeous. So gorgeous. So, let's do the test. I mean, we know it dyes. Looks pretty to me. All right. Next, I need to add gum arabic. For a 2-ounce bottle of ink, 10 drops of gum arabic should be enough. I am gonna go grab a pipette real quick. Alright, I've got some gum arabic, and this is used as a binder to keep it from separating in the bottle. I'm just going to use I don't know how many ounces I have here. I'm gonna go with the 10 drops. I think it's close to 2 ounces. That is a beautiful color. And now, I've got a little bottle here that used to be a hot sauce bottle. It's been cleaned. Is this gonna fit? Not really. Let me go grab a smaller funnel. And to follow it up, need to put in either a few drops of wintergreen oil, which I don't have, or a whole clove to keep it from molding. So let me grab. Alright, I have some whole cloves. I'll pop one of these out. God, they smell so good. And bloop right in there. And that, my friends, is ink. That's our ink. How about we try it out? Alright. I wasn't sure how much this would bleed, so I've got a piece of Bristol board that I have splattered paint on. It's really clear right here though, so I'm going to try it out on this Bristol board. I've got another piece of scrap Bristol behind it. You may recognize from other videos. It's my mess catcher, basically. I have a glass nib pen from, I got it at the Dollar Tree. I haven't used it yet, but I wanted to try it out. I also have some more traditional calligraphy pens that I can use, but I wanted to give this little guy a shot. So, this is exciting. So it comes out very purple and then dries very blue. I'm going to get my more traditional calligraphy pens. Alright, so I've got my calligraphy pen. I'm not versed in calligraphy. But you can see as it dries, it turns more blue. I made ink! How freaking cool is that? This was really exciting. I think it's cool. The different pens have different ways of drying. It's kind of hard to tell, but the glass nib pen dried more purple. Whereas the calligraphy pen, I guess a thinner amount came out. I'm not sure exactly, but those are more of an indigo. And it's so hard to see. Oh, I wish I could zoom in, but can I zoom in more? Yeah, it's just, you can tell there is a slight difference. But, man, that is so much fun. I am super excited about this. I'm going to have to play with this ink more in the future, I think. Wow. Well, I'm going to label this. I gotta find my labels. I've got some label stickers somewhere to try. Yeah, I've got some label stickers. I'm gonna label it, stick it on there. This was so much fun. I feel like I learned a lot. I didn't quite follow the recipe exactly, mainly because I didn't have all of, I didn't have the same number of elderberries as the recipe called for, and nor did I cook it anywhere near as long as the recipe called for, simply because it was, I was worried it was going to scorch. Like, all of my liquid had almost completely left the pan. Yeah. Almost all of the liquid had evaporated out of the pan, and I needed the liquid. So, yeah. I only let it simmer for about 30 minutes. Now I'm going to go clean some dishes because I made a few working on this. But I thank you so much for watching. This was a fun learning experience for me. I will definitely be making more inks in the future. I took a bunch of notes from that book on various items that can be used to make ink from nature, specifically different plants and minerals and materials and such. So I will definitely be making more ink. This was super cool. I'm gonna start scouring thrift shops for tiny little glass bottles so that I can make more inks in various colors. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you were inspired to try making ink of your own. It doesn't have to be elderberries. It could be any berries, really. They're all pretty pigmented. The recipe's pretty much the same for all berries, so it might be something fun to try out. Elderberries are really small, so it takes a lot to get 2 cups. And I waited a little longer than I could have to make this video. I could have had more, really, but this was fun. I'm going to enjoy using this in junk journals and the like. It did not bleed through my Bristol board at all. Sweet. But yeah, try it out. Like I said, that book was really informative. I took a bunch of notes. I ended up checking it out of the library and took a bunch of notes. So I may have to buy a copy of that. It was pretty cool. But if you are interested in making inks from things you find in nature, give it a shot. Give it a shot. I just happened to have some gum arabic to use as a binder, so that was pretty lucky. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope you were inspired to try this out. Have a great day. Bye.